But it's Friday. That's the day where we go through all of the dumbest things of the week. The live group, the Fed Haters Club at joingmail.com. They send in their submissions. I put in some submissions. People on Twitter send in their submissions. We've got one from someone on Twitter today that's in the set.
Instagram submissions.
If you were paying attention to the news for like a couple days, then you saw on Twitter this thing going around, fact-checked by Snopes, that, let's see, the question was, the missing Titanic submersible relying on satellites from Elon Musk's SpaceX to communicate. They say Starlink is a subsidiary of SpaceX, which Elon Musk runs. And we might be a little late on this one because we didn't do a dumb bleep last week while I was gone, but we got to cover this.
And this thing was imploding.
Yes. Occupy Democrats does a big post. If you want to go through some of this, Charlie, of course, it's always
breaking. Republican billionaire. That's so funny to me. Elon Musk, he's definitely not a Republican. Although I guess he said that he was going to vote red, so maybe that's why. He is thrust, no pun intended, into another nightmare PR disaster as it's revealed that the missing Titanic submersible company previously praised his satellite communication company, Starlink. They, of course, can't praise it now because they're all dead. It said that it would be relying on the service to provide the communications for the Titanic expedition. The world lost all communication with the submersible and its crew shortly after it began its journey toward the sunken wreck.
Let's see. We know that.
Typically, I think when things implode, you kind of lose communication with them.
It does happen. Let's see. At the bottom here, of course, they post a photo of the submersible and Elon Musk just waiting to hear back from the submersible. I don't see its Starlink terminal popping off the top of the tube right there because that's not how it communicates, because that's freaking impossible. Okay, you can't send those kind of waves through water.
Luckily, some readers added context and says submarine communication requires low frequencies, VLF or lower, due to the poor propagation of radio waves through water. Starlink operates in SHF and EHF bands and can't be used underwater.
Well, they should have told them that before they tried to use it and go down there, you know? I don't know why they didn't check on it firsthand.
Yeah, once he was praising Starlink, Elon Musk should have chimed in and be like, you can't use that underwater.
Before we get into more dumb associated with this, why are they doing this, Charlie? It's to do anything they can to say bad things about Elon Musk.
Of course.
Because he's kind of promoting free speech on Twitter sometimes, and he's a billionaire.
Yeah.
And so they just have to do whatever they can, including Snopes, by the way, who did a fact check. Was the missing Titanic submersible using satellites from Elon Musk's company? The missing submersible. What did they say? Now, luckily, I took screenshots of this because it was so egregious. I was like, I got to take a screenshot of this thing. This is a fact-checking company. Okay, so this is a screenshot I found on my phone last night. Here's the context. Starlink is a subsidiary of SpaceX, which Elon Musk runs. However, we do not know how much Starlink is responsible for the loss of contact with the submersible, nor the reasons behind the lack. So
but they'll still mark it true.
Was the missing Titanic submersible using satellites from Elon Musk's company, they say is true. All right. Now they go back.
We know that Starlink modeled their communications based off the communications of whales. And so that's probably why they thought they could use it.
It's the exact same type of whale links that they send through the air, you know. That's exactly what it sounds like. All right, so they changed their rating, by the way. Was the missing Titanic submersible relying on satellites from Elon Musk SpaceX to communicate, they now say is false. And down here, editor's note. Since the original publication of this fact check, Snopes clarified its rating and text to make clear that, while OceanGate, the company overseeing the expedition, said it was using Starlink satellites for the trip, the submersible itself was not using the technology. Now, do you think that switching from true to false is clarifying the rating on something, or is it just they went back and edited that later?
I don't think it's clarifying. I think you should admit that you were wrong.
Yeah, they fact-checked themselves, and they just said missing context. That's
Yeah.
all they said.
Mismanagementism. That's what happened.
So the Snopes and also just this need to say anything bad about billionaires or the person running Twitter ends up being dumb bleep number 1 for this week. The next one is a video from Mayor Eric Adams going off on a woman who's complaining about rent. Let's listen to him, or it's Tracy Morgan. I'm not going to tell you if you're listening right now, but there's a rant associated, and then he's going to respond.
In Nassau, they had a 0% rent increase. Why in New York City, where the real estate is controlling you, Mr. Mayor, why are we having these horrible rent increases last year and this year?
Okay, first, if you're going to ask a question, don't point at me and don't be disrespectful to me. I'm the mayor of this city, and treat me with the respect I deserve to be treated. I'm speaking to you as an adult. Don't stand in front like you treated someone that's on the plantation that you own. Give me the respect I deserve and engage in a conversation up here in Washington Heights.
You didn't expect that one, did you?
I didn't.
No. That's why I skipped away from the screenshot before you could actually see it, as he compares her to a plantation owner.
Oh.
Second,
Oh, God.
screw the fact that you're the mayor, first off. I don't like this whole entitled, I'm above you mentality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? You live off of stolen money, and you control people's lives. If
I'm
they
all-
want to
I'm-
point their finger at you, that's completely fine.
I'm all for asking for respect. You can say,
Mhm.
like, hey, please, I feel like pointing your finger at me is disrespectful. I'm an adult. You're an adult. Like, let's have a respectful conversation and then answer her question.
Or you could just not be a little bitch about it
Or
and answer the question.
I'm just saying I don't have a problem with something like that.
Yeah.
But then to, correlate her as a rich old white woman plantation owner, which they didn't even have plantations in New York, by the way.
He doesn't just say like white people would treat people on a plantation. He says like you would on your. How does he phrase it? He literally calls her the plantation owner.
Treated someone that's on the plantation that you own. I'm speaking to you as an adult. Don't stand in front like you treated someone that's on the plantation that you own. Give me the respect I deserve.
Like you treated someone that's on the plantation that you own.
Ugh.
Now she's okay.
Okay, Tracy Morgan.
I think that was pretty dumb, and that's dumb bleep number 2.
That's why it's on the.
That's
why it's on the list.
today's show is dumb bleep of the
Yeah,
week,
Yeah,
and this was number 2.
that's why it made it.
Mayor Eric Adams. I guess we'll stick in New York here for a minute. There's an article with this Chuck. New York City wanting to crack down on coal and wood-fired pizzerias. They want them to cut their carbon emissions by up to 75%. And people are upset about this.
The NYC Department of Environmental Protection has drafted new rules that would order eateries using the decades-old baking method to slice carbon emissions by up to 75%. Quote, all New Yorkers deserve to breathe healthy air, and wood and coal-fired stoves are among the largest contributors of harmful pollutants in neighborhoods with poor air quality, said Ted Timbers.
Ted Timbers.
The rule could require pizzerias, which such ovens installed prior to May 2016, to buy pricey emission control devices, with the owner of one Brooklyn joint saying he's already tossed $20,000 on an air filter system in anticipation of the new mandate. Can't cook your pizza now.
So I guess this is before they come for the gas stoves. They're going to go a little bit further back and go for the coal and wood-fired stoves, even though they are like outlawing gas stoves in new builds in New York already. This is ridiculous. And by the way, I looked through tons of articles today, and I could not find what the number of carbon emissions is from the New York City pizzerias and how big of an impact on climate change this is going to have. It just says that they have to cut their carbon emissions by 75%.
It looks like they're going to save the planet.
Yeah. I guarantee you one of Leonardo DiCaprio's trips on a private jet uses more carbon emissions than all the pizzerias in New York. And cutting this by 75% is not going to do anything. And it's always weird how the little guy, especially a business owner, people trying to make their way, that they have to be the ones to make sacrifices and change the way that they're living. while the people that are making all the rules, they just get to live high on the hog, man. Okay.
That's
Let me.
right.
Oh, here's a good Matt. Thanks for posting this. You'd have to burn a pizza stove 849 years to equal 1 year of John Kerry's private jet. Okay, so there was some numbers, and I saw that article, but I looked past the first part of the headline that was showing up. You'd have to burn a pizza stove 849 years to equal 1 year of John Kerry's private jet. Okay, so someone has crunched some of the numbers on this thing. All right, that's Dumb Bleep number 3. Charlie looks like he's hard at work on something over there.
All right, well, I had to post something that we have to do today.
Something that we have to do today.
Yeah, there's it's in there now.
Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah. Good thinking. That's Dumb Bleep number 3.
Just got reminded of it.
Dumb Bleep number 4. All right, we got...
Every time you think I'm looking away, it's not important.
Oh, no, I knew you were on this computer,
This is
so
so
I knew that it was important at this time. That's why I was legitimately wondering what it was.
Yeah. Dumb Bleep number 4. This is from the Daily Wire. Thanks, Ben. What a nice guy.
He's, nice guy.
Michigan hate speech bill would make it a felony to cause someone to feel threatened. That's because feelings are the truth.
They are truth.
Yeah.
What if you're someone who feels threatened all the time? You just immediately
Somebody
feel
obviously
threatened.
caused it.
A Michigan hate speech bill that has passed the state house and is now in the hands of the Senate is alarming conservatives, people of faith, people with brains, and legal experts. The bill is part of a package of legislation that will replace Michigan's existing Ethnic Intimidation Act and make it a hate crime to cause someone to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened.
What if the police show up to your door?
That's threatening. I would feel threatened, but that doesn't matter because I'm white, so I guess that would be fine.
Feel frightened.
Under the bill's framework, sexual orientation and gender identity or expression are included as classes protected against intimidation. You have the right and you have the freedom from feeling any threat ever if you are in a specific protected class of people. If passed, the hate speech legislation would make violators guilty of a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison and a fine of $10,000.
Now, what's the most important part of this?
I'm not sure.
5 years in prison or $10,000?
Maybe
the fact that when you are a convicted felon, you lose your right to what?
Well, I don't know what Michigan's rules on it but some people lose their right to vote sometimes, and they
I'm pretty sure
can lose
almost all convicted felons lose their right to vote.
I'm not sure what the rules are after you've paid your dues or served your time in Michigan. Some places I think allow you to come back to society, and you should be able to come back into society if you've paid your debts. If justice has been served. If you haven't paid your debts or justice hasn't been served, then why are they letting you out in the first place? Answer that question for me. The newest version, which passed the House, uses the term harassment without defining specifically what it could refer to. Intimidate means a willful course of conduct involving repeated or continuing harassment of another individual that would cause a reasonable individual to feel terrorized, frightened, or threatened. Let's see. Wagner said under the bill, someone could listen to a speaker, such as a religious preacher, or read a conservative writer and claim they're being intimidated because their perceived gender identity is under attack. Under the legislation, intimidation and harassment could be up to the interpretation of the listener and a local prosecutor. According, we just talked about that stuff in where? Was it Ireland, where they've got all these crazy rules? And we're like, why are we talking about Ireland? Stuff doesn't matter. It's coming here, folks.
Coming across the creek.
Would this make it through the Supreme Court if someone challenged it? Really?
I don't know. Also,
they're actually going to limit speech?
At first, I was like, if you take it to trial, like a jury of your peers should laugh about this stuff. But then you never know.
Yeah, people are dumb.
That's,
me
believing in people too much. That's my first thought. Be like, surely 12 or 13 people sitting on the chairs there, up on the risers overhearing this case would surely laugh about something like this, but it's things. Worse things have happened.
You never know. You never know what these people can do, especially if they're in Michigan. Okay, it's scary.
Yes,
ain't that where Karen Whitmer is? Yeah, she's a
They're
Michigander.
up there staging coups and all kinds of stuff.
Jeez.
That's Dumb Bleep number 4.
Stephen King, number 5.
Number 5, Stephen King tweets, in America, it's legal to own an AR-15, but illegal for a woman's right to choose. Wow. What if she chose an AR-15?
So the most annoying part of this one to me, got 10 million views, by the way. A lot of retweets and all that stuff. And, something not going well?
Yeah.
Okay, he's going to go check it out. The most annoying part to me on this is that it's not illegal for a woman's right to choose in America. Some states have placed some restrictions on this, and it's not just legal to own an AR-15 all across America. Some states have placed a lot of restrictions on this. And so just blanket saying in America it's legal to have an AR-15, but it's illegal for a woman's right to choose, would say that all across America, we can all have AR-15s, and all across America, women cannot get abortions. So it's not even, I commented on this, it's not even about debating whether or not we should have the right to defend ourselves or whether or not women should have the right to get abortions. It's not even a factual statement in the first place. So this is ridiculous. This is all part of an abortion segment for Dumb Bleep number 5. And now we're going to watch the Robert Reich video that also has to do with abortion, right? Meow.
Abortion bans are not pro-life. They're pro-poverty and pro-inequality. I'll tell you what we can do about it in a moment, but first let me explain how these bans worsen inequalities. You've probably heard of the 2 abortion cases making their way through the courts, but it's not just Texas and Mississippi's new bans. For years, Republican state lawmakers, almost entirely white men, have been chipping away at reproductive freedom, enacting laws that lead to clinic closures, force people to travel hundreds of miles for abortions, and create near insurmountable barriers for low-income people, especially people of color. Now, make no mistake,
To kill the
bans
babies.
like those in Texas and Mississippi
To kill
won't
children.
stop abortions. Wealthier people will always have access, but millions of low-income people will be forced to give birth, with dire consequences for both parent and child. Pregnant people in Texas now have to travel.
Okay, we won't go through this entire video, but yeah, Bailey already, this is the reason that this is dumb. I don't understand how people, even like Robert Reich, people on the left who talk about the poor and inequality and helping people and saving people all the time, use the argument that it's better for the poor people if we just kill them first.
Yeah.
You know?
Same argument Hitler used, by the way.
How am I supposed to care about...
And that is Robert Reich III.
It's true.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to care about giving up some of my income for these people when he's saying it'd be better off if they were just dead and we didn't have to deal with them in the first place? And that's someone's argument.
Before they're born, by the way.
Before they're born.
Yeah.
Eradicate them. Okay? Just, do they not understand this? They literally make the argument that it's bad financially. It will have more poor people out there, and it's bad for black people because they'll have less abortions, which means we have more black people.
Yeah.
You don't want that, right, Robert?
Yeah. Daisy brings up
Who
a
makes
good,
these arguments?
Daisy brings up a good point too, and he says pregnant people now.
Yeah, does he? I didn't even notice that.
I caught it, and Daisy pointed it out. Thank you, Daisy.
Just an add-on.
Costco said it too. Sorry, I didn't see your comment, Costco. I didn't mean to leave you out, my friend, my dear friend.
Before we move on, Planned Parenthood posted this, I think today or yesterday. I think it was posted in our group today. The idea of virginity. Okay, there's a sign, there's a billboard. Planned Parenthood posting this picture. Virginity is a social construct. The idea of virginity comes from outdated, let's be real, patriarchal ways of thinking that hurts everyone. Charlie, what the are they talking about?
Either you've had sex or you haven't.
Yeah, I mean, that's a social construct, whether or not it is true. What does that mean?
Yeah.
Now, are they talking about the idea that it's a good idea to be a virgin, that you should wait? That's a social construct, I guess.
Or purity culture or whatever.
Yeah, religious construct. And so Planned
But
Parenthood...
they could say, like, purity culture is a social construct, and that would actually be true.
Yeah.
Because that is a social construct of people who want to remain what they consider pure.
Is there not a conflict of interest here when Planned Parenthood is saying that virginity is a social construct? They're like, don't worry about it. Guys, they get paid to kill unwanted children. Okay? That's how they get money, or a good portion of their money. They don't want you to worry about being a virgin. Go out there and just have whatever sex you want. It's good for business. All right, number 7, Bidenomics. This is from Hakeem Jeffries. Wages are up. There's this new push, by the way, Charlie. I don't know if you've seen the push for Bidenomics out there. In fact, we'll listen to a video here.
Did he say that interest was 0% in July or something like that?
I don't know. It could have been the change, possibly.
But I think it's a plan that I'm happy to call Bidenomics. And guess what? Bidenomics is working. When I took office, the pandemic was raging and our economy was reeling. Supply chains are broken, millions of people unemployed, hundreds of thousands of small businesses on the verge of closing after so many had already closed.
Why?
Really, hundreds of thousands on the verge of closing. Today,
because of
the U.S.
Trumponomics.
has the highest economic growth rate, leading the world economies since the pandemic, the highest in the world. As Dick said, with his help, we created 13.4 million new jobs.
New jobs.
More jobs in 2 years than any president has ever made in 4 and 2. And folks, it's no accident. That's Bidenomics in action. Bidenomics is about building an economy from the middle out and the bottom up, not the top down. And there are 3 fundamental changes that we decided to make with the help of the Congress. We've been able to do it. First, making smart investment.
All right. I don't care what the changes are. They're not real.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. What I said at first, which is like, why was the economy in trouble? Was it because of a pandemic, or was it because of the government's response to a slightly worse flu that America was experiencing?
Yeah, I think it was a response,
And then, by the way, COVID is alive and well, folks. It's no accident. It's no joke.
It's no joke.
The COVID's still out there. I just talked to someone the other day who got COVID.
Great guy. He was.
He's still with us.
Still is?
Yeah, he just has it.
Lucky SOB.
I know. But we just got rid of. It's weird how the economy opened back up when we got rid of all the government restrictions.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
That was his plan. Bidenomics is where you
COVID
don't
didn't
force people to not work.
COVID didn't go away.
He created 13 million new jobs. None of those jobs were jobs that existed beforehand where people were simply allowed to go back to work. He created new jobs out there and new businesses. Don't worry. We'll talk a little bit more about Bidenomics. It's a noun. Okay. Bidenomics is about growing the economy from the middle out and the bottom up, which makes no sense whatsoever, not the top down. It's an economic vision where we make smart investments in America, educate and empower, I hate that word, American workers, and promote competition to lower costs and help small businesses. Okay.
What is that actually doing?
Here's the deal. Bidenomics, no one's buying this thing. Okay. No one's buying this Bidenomics thing. Okay. Polls are terrible on this. People hate the freaking economy. All right. From Business Insider last week, or a couple weeks ago, pay raises just caught up with inflation for the first time in 2 years. This is a story from 2 weeks ago. So they just caught up with inflation for the first time in 2 years. Charlie, here's a chart right here. This dark blue line is inflation. This blue line right there, you see, are wages. And in fact, if you look at a whole year for 2022, median real wage growth, all of them are down, except for people that are younger than 25, where people making like minimum wage, entry wage type jobs got pay bumps and things. But when you look at real wage growth, taking inflation into account.
That's because they forced everyone to pay them $15 an hour.
Yeah. 25 to 54, you got over a 1% decline. Age 55 and older, you got a 3 and something % decline. No children in the household, 0.8% decline. Children in the household, 2.5% decline. If you switch jobs, a little less than 1%. If you stayed at your job, you lost like 2.7% during that time. And that's Bidenomics, folks.
Mm.
Okay? That's the way it is and isn't. All right, number 8, we're going on to student debt, although not all the reactions because it just happened before we started to do the episode. This one came from a friend on Twitter. Thanks for tagging us and putting Dumb Bleep of the Week on the tag. Go ahead, churl.
All right, from Ian Milheiser.
Sure.
Yeah. Probably in the next couple of days, millions of Americans are going to learn that 6 Republicans who have never been elected to anything just took $10,000 away from them. Good luck with that in the next election, Republican Party.
Solid stuff.
Yeah.
Right there.
Riveting.
High quality thinking happening. Just took, first off, 6 Republicans. Of course, we always take issue with the fact that the Supreme Court is split between 6 Republicans and 3 Democrats. Although, I mean, it kind of is, but they don't always go.
They have conservative or liberal temperaments. Yeah.
Just took $10,000 away from them.
That was your money.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, if people get tax money back, I'm all for that. You can get that back.
Here's what taking $10,000 away from you looks like, Charlie. You buy something that costs $10,000
Or $100,000
on a credit card. Okay. Now you owe $10,000. And then I say that I'm going to steal $10,000 from someone else and give you $10,000. Now, if I'm not able to do that, then I just took $10,000 away from you.
No. First of all, we had a contract that you were going to steal that money and give it to me. But a third party reviewed that contract and decided, yeah, that contract's not going to work. And so now it's the third party who reviewed that contract. They stole $10,000 from me that you were going to give to me from stealing it from other people.
All the while in the entire process, you were the only person that ever agreed to pay for the $10,000 thing.
That's not important.
Not the person who was going to have to give you their money. It's wild. Nina Turner says that this is going to kill people, basically, because Salon says killer loans, college debt triggers depression and suicide. All debts are burdensome. Why is it that student loans in particular give people so much emotional distress?
Probably because they can't find a job after spending 10 years in college doing keg stands.
And probably not even getting a degree, you know? I mean, probably they got a degree, I guess, if you look at the stats on that. Nina Turner says this is not hyperbole. The decision by the Supreme Court will destroy lives and families. So the decision by the Supreme Court that people should owe the debts that they took out is what's going to destroy lives and families, not their own decisions. By the way, this is after the U.S. Department of Education posted out a suicide prevention hotline for people. Of course, the Supreme Court is literally killing people. That's how it works. We're still on student loans. This was really just a headline right now. So we should have started with this. Okay. 6-3 along ideological lines, with Chief Justice John G. Roberts writing for the court's dominant conservatives. Biden contended his administration had the authority to forgive student loan debt under the Higher Education Relief Opportunities for Students Act of 2003, or HEROES. The law allows the education secretary to waive off or modify loan provisions in response to a national emergency, such as the coronavirus pandemic. It's weird that in 2003 they wrote that if the coronavirus pandemic happens, then they can waive whatever debts they feel like waiving.
Yeah.
That was insightful of them. I just wish, you never read the bills. That's the problem. We had a warning back 20 years ago about this thing.
Exactly.
Coming up. Well, I don't know which party was in power at that time. This was originally a short-term provision because of 9/11 in response to that. And then they then just wrote it in and said, okay, national emergencies and wars and stuff, because wars happen forever and national emergencies happen on a whim. And so we shouldn't even be dealing with this HEROES Act right now in the first place. This is a temporary government program from back in 2003.
Nothing so permanent.
And okay, we don't have to go through that. Now we're on number 9. This is the last one. These are some responses to the affirmative action decision from yesterday, starting with RFK Jr., who we just heard yesterday is going to be at Freedom Fest which we're going to be there as well, and we got to try and grab him. And
You want to grab him? By the what?
no, I don't want to do that. Okay, I want to ask him politely if he wants to come talk to us.
That seems better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So we
All right,
need
he
to make sure we do
tweets,
that.
In response to affirmative action, he says, regarding the Supreme Court banning affirmative action in higher ed, I know many Americans feel that purely race-based decisions are unfair. However, this feeling misses important context. Race-based decisions are fine in some elements,
Mhm.
you know? The effects of racist policies going back centuries are now self-perpetuating. Affirmative action understands this and uses race-based policies to undo the effects of racist policies. You fight racism with racism, Nate.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you fight fire with fire. Same thing.
Yeah. Any libertarians still out there fighting for RFK Jr.? Well, they're definitely doing that. Listen, I saw Clint talking. Clint, we've talked with him quite a few times, and he's been big on RFK Jr., and I understand why. I was talking to a friend, John, the other day about how I was considering RFK Jr. just as a big old FU to the administrative state, the bureaucracy, to the alphabet agencies. I get it. I get the idea. But he's not a libertarian. He's still a tyrant. We just happen to like a few things that he says, and there is a big difference between those things. All right, we got to remain principled, and that's why we never said that we were thinking about supporting RFK Jr., because he clearly has the tendency to go this way on several different issues, and you got to be ready for that. You got to assume that's going to happen. Gavin Newsom says that people want to whitewash our nation's history by not having affirmative action, I guess. That's whitewashing our nation's history. They want to bring America back to the era of book bans and segregated campuses. We cannot let them. Of course, that's in response to the affirmative action ruling. The super weird part about that, of course, as people have pointed out, is that affirmative action is banned in California and has been since 1996. So I guess that means they have whitewashed America's history in California. No one knows anything about what's happened in the past in our history in California whatsoever. They're just a big conservative, I don't know, Handmaid's Tale, terrible slave state, really, is what they are. And they've banned all the books. Really dumb from Gavin Newsom there. And then Erica Marsh. We talked about this yesterday. Folks, it does look like this was a real tweet. She tried to fix it, and it wasn't good. Erica Marsh yesterday said, today's Supreme Court decision is a direct attack on black people. No black person will be able to succeed in a merit-based system, which is exactly why affirmative action-based programs were needed. Today's decision is a travesty. It turns out it was a real post because she tried to clarify. She said, allow me to clarify. This tweet, which is being manipulated for propaganda and misinformation by Ultra MAGA. The intention of my tweet is to highlight that prior to affirmative action, there existed a supposedly merit-based system for black individuals to gain admission to colleges. However, these institutions employ racial profiling to prevent black individuals from attending under the guise of this merit system. Well, guess what, Erica? Under this ruling, that would be illegal too, okay? Because they ruled 14th Amendment does not allow you to consider race in the admissions, meaning if you find that they are racially profiling people and holding them out of schools, which once again is a dumbass idea that these woke colleges where the disgust, the puke of society is oozing out into our streets, that they're just going to start banning black people from going to college automatically. Yeah. It's the epicenter of white supremacy, these colleges, you know. Mm-hmm. All of a sudden that's going to happen. It's just not. So she wants to emphasize that her statement in no way suggests that black individuals are less intelligent than people of other races.
It's exactly what it suggested.
It literally suggested.
Yeah.
No black person will be able to succeed in a merit-based system.
I don't remember when I learned how to read, but those words in that order definitely suggest
Yeah.
Black individuals are less intelligent and they can't work hard or anything else like that.
Well, you must be part of the ultra MAGA
Yeah.
who's manipulating this for propaganda.
I just love people who know how to take accountability.
So
You
good.
know?
Yeah,
You know,
especially
rather than
women.
being like, okay, I chose the wrong words. That's not what I meant. Like, let me rephrase that and where my heart actually is.
Mm-hmm.
No, first of all, I'm going to blame everyone else for misinterpreting my words, because that's not what I was trying to say. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. I can't anymore.
AOC.
I've reached my breaking point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious. I
don't-
can't.
Don't break.
Well,
don't do it.
I'm at the point.
You're about to break. Like that Linkin Park song, you know?
Mm.
And I'm about to. Anyway, AOC says if SCOTUS was serious about their ludicrous colorblindness claims, they would have abolished legacy admissions, aka affirmative action for the privileged. 70% of Harvard's legacy applicants are white. SCOTUS didn't touch that. That's because no one was suing over Harvard's legacy applicants. Okay, if someone wants to bring that, if someone has standing, if they were harmed, then they can try and bring that to the court.
So what is Harvard's legacy? That's like,
I think that's when you like your family went
Your
there,
family,
or
yeah.
maybe, I don't know if it's donors, but maybe it's a family thing. Do you
also,
know?
all she said was 70% of Harvard's legacy applicants are white.
Yeah, who gets submitted?
Doesn't mean they get in.
Yeah.
They're legacy applicants.
Yeah, so we
Also,
still don't know
I
what
love
the
how
admissions are.
I love how she is saying what she's saying to a black man who wrote the majority opinion.
That doesn't matter.
I mean, last I checked, she's a woman of color, but she's of, Latina descent, or she may clarify. She may identify as Latinx. I don't know.
Latinx.
Latinx. But anyway, I believe they're lower on the totem pole if I got my, oppression totem pole correctly.
Well, I haven't had mine updated yet to the newest version of.
Although he's
victimhood.
a black man and she's a colored woman, if we know what that is. But see, I get all confused now.
You know what? Let's get the voting going. We've got this Elizabeth Warren tweet from yesterday also. If you listened yesterday, an extremist Supreme Court has rolled back the march toward racial justice and narrowed opportunity for all when literally they were not admitting people based on their race. Won't stop fighting for young people with big dreams who deserve an equal chance to pursue their future.
Except for whites and Asians.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, number 1 was Starlink losing the Titanic sub. Number 2 was Mayor Eric Adams and calling the lady a plantation owner because she pointed her finger at him. Okay, number 3 was New York City's green pizzas. They're going to be green eventually. Number 4 was the Michigan hate speech law. Number 5 were those different thoughts on abortion, including Stephen King, Robert Wright, and that tweet from Planned Parenthood. Number 6, Fauci landing a teaching gig. So surprising, very shocking. Number 7 is Bidenomics. Number 8 is the student loan decision, which, by the way, Charlie, I forgot to mention this. If you listen to Bidenomics, it seems like we're just in the greatest economy that's ever existed. Ever. Known to man.
Yeah, people can feel it.
But then when you read people's opinions about the Supreme Court case today on student loans, there's just no way that people are going to be able to pay these student loans that they had from a few years ago. It's not possible.
Not in this economy.
Not in this economy. Not in the shape that they're in. Okay? No
That's
possible
so
way.
True.
And so what I want to know is, which one is it? Are we in the greatest economy that's ever happened? Especially for the young, the working class, people of color, whatever it is. Is Biden's plan working? Or are we in such a national emergency that we have to cancel this debt because there's no way people could ever pay it? Which one is it?
It's both. Nate.
How about that?
In the world of illogic, you can have it all.
That number 8's the student loan decision stuff, and number 9 is the affirmative action decision reactions. Get your votes in now.
Right, y'all vote. While you're voting, my 6-year-old is storming up the steps. He's upset about something.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure what that could possibly be. Parker, do you want to make a cameo on the podcast? No answer. All right.
Yeah, not that.
The first thing I have to do is
Never
I have
good enough.
to read a review because I want
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys to go leave. Oh, he's so angry.
Yeah, I'm very mad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, we announce our feelings in this house.
We tell
And
people.
then we talk about it.
Yeah.
We don't hit people. We don't throw things. We don't do that kind of
We
stuff.
don't take their stuff either.
That's right.
Don't hit people and don't take their stuff.
So I'm about to learn why he's so mad. But first, I got to read you this review from Paula in Michigan. Thank you, Paula. She lets us know that this is her favorite podcast.
How about that?
And she said, "My life would not be the same if this podcast ever went away. No pressure, Nate and Charlie, but for my personal welfare, you can never quit this." We don't plan to. Well, that's good. You're in luck, Paula. We will be slaves. Our voices will be slaves.
Just for Paula.
Just for you. Good Morning Liberty is the podcast I look for first in my podcast feed every day.
I'm sorry you have to wait so long, Paula.
Sometimes it doesn't happen. Nate and Charlie use real news items to examine liberty and economics and their implications on our lives. They also are extremely witty, mostly me, and make me laugh a lot, even when the news makes me want to cry. That's what, Paula, when you want to cry, you just got to laugh. I mean, that's the way we do it. I look forward to the regular Friday installment of Dumb Bleep of the Week, like today, which is hilarious. It is often the highlight of my week, not including time spent with my previous grandchild.
We think that means precious.
I think you meant to say precious, but if you have a previous grandchild, I'm sorry for your loss.
And we're sorry for laughing if that is the case, but I doubt you would have written it that way if it were
Right.
the case.
Mhm.
You know.
Yeah. Nate likes to make fun of death. That's what he does.
I love it. It's my favorite.
And then says from Paula and says, P.S. Please read my review on your show. I promise to join your private group.
Okay. So there's
We'll think about
selfish reasons.
We'll think about reading it on the show.
Think about
We'll
it.
let you know.
Mm-hmm. All right. Who won the Dumb Bleep? It's the affirmative action.
All right, y'all. Go
Good
leave a review like Paula. You
Mhm.
like Paula.
Yep.
Leave us a review. It is very humbling and honoring for us that you all do listen every single day and appreciate the show. It does take a lot of hard work that we don't go into very often, but to run a show 5 days a week is a lot.
Takes a lot.
Takes a lot. And we appreciate that you all appreciate it. That's a lot of appreciation going on.
Mm-hmm.
I am mad.
Yeah.
And Parker's mad.
Yeah, we know that.
Microphone's picked
Now we know
up.
that.
Thanks, bud. Thanks for your insight.
Mm-hmm.
So go leave a review, Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. And if you're watching live, you can see my son marching around behind me. Join the live group, joingml.com or godhatesfeds.com. There's a link there to get to the Fed Haters Club. And if you do all of that, we'll be back again on Wednesday. Again, next week.
There'll be episodes before that for sure.
There might be
Don't
episodes
worry.
before that, but it is America's birthday on Tuesday, July 4th. So go out and celebrate America. All right? Go shoot some fireworks, drink some Trulies on the lake, whatever you do to celebrate America's birthday. So until then, hope you have a good day and a good morning, Liberty.
Hope you have a good video.